Greetings and welcome to another excellent chess video. Now I'm going to show you stuff, but I'm going to do a twofer on this one. This video is to explain to you the things you're not doing that are preventing you from getting better. Now I'm going to visually be working on these problems and explain this to you as we get deeper and deeper into the harder, more difficult tactics. So I'm going to be showing you killer tactics that will help you do better. And these tactics are representing the things you need to know, or some of the things you need to know. But I'm going to tell you about other things you must know, and to give you a perspective on things. If you don't know these things, you're going to have to seek them out and find it in whatever way that's fine. You can do this through books. You can do this through videos. It doesn't matter how you learn the things you need to learn. You just need to learn them. It's like 2 + 2 = 4. It doesn't matter how or where you learn 2 + 2 = 4. You have to know this. Just that simple. So let's go and I'll expound upon this as we proceed. Now this, of course, is Puzzle Rush Survival. 3 strikes and you're out. Just that simple. So the things that will help you get better come from my dad's rule number 1. And my dad's rule number 1, now he didn't call it that, I call it that. And I'm the one who's best informed to call it his rule number 1. His rule number 1 is simply know how to win the game. So these tactics follow his basically rule number 1. And this applies to every game, not just chess. Okay, so I'm doing tactics here that are showing you basic stuff while I'm executing my dad's rule number 1. His rule number 2 would be, in chess, what's he trying to do to me? So that will help you as well. Now the things you're not doing, probably endgame study is super boring, okay? It just is, as a general rule. Now, if you find a video or a book that makes it interesting to you, so much the better. The bottom line of endgame study is that it is based literally upon rule number 1 from my father. Know how to win the game. So king and pawn endgames. This is the thing. If you want to be a really strong player, you're going to have to know king and pawn endgames. Because if you know king and pawn endgames, this gives you a tremendous advantage on how to win games that are otherwise mysterious to you. Like the last problem, this problem is a bump and score. We bumped the king. All right, so king and pawn endgames. Also, you're going to need to know basic stuff about basic rook endgames, which is Lucena position is one of them. Another one is your rooks belong behind either your passed pawns trying to queen, or behind enemy passed pawns that you're trying to thwart from queening. Generally speaking, that you're going to want to, if you have connected passed pawns with a rook you're defending against, you want to have the rook attack the one that's most forward, closest to queening, as a general rule. So that's the thing. Now, as my chess coach, Mr. Amen, used to say, chess is a brutal game, and there are exceptions to every rule or general proposition that we say. But there's a reason it's the general advice, is because it's usually correct. So we must understand we want to do things that are generally going to be correct, but there's going to be special cases. All right? So that's really one of the things that's happening or will happen in your games. You've got to be able to discern when you're in a general position or a special position. Special meaning special cases where you're going to violate your general rule. Okay? So far, nothing is really jumping out. Specifically, this is another bump and score. When things come up, I'll just throw them in here. Know your checkmates. Trying to think of other things, but a lot of people don't get better. I saw this guy's video of why you're not getting better at chess, and it was kind of lame because his thing was dancing around the question. Not that it was intentionally lame or intentionally bad. He was looking at it specifically from his own experience, which is okay, but I found it to be very off-center and really not that useful to the general person. It doesn't matter. When I tell you stuff, it doesn't matter if you're 5 years old or 65 years old. Truth is the truth. I'm hard-hitting. I'm not here to kiss your butt. I'm not here to tell you, oh, you're such a wonderful player. Yeah, it's too bad you lost that game. Look, you want to win, this is how you win, okay? You got to know stuff, and you got to know a lot of stuff in chess. You can do a lot of problems like this. And it was really funny because that guy actually was talking about how you get better at chess, and he was trying to dismiss Puzzle Rush specifically, which is, there's an angle to what he was saying that was true. However, if you don't use it correctly, Puzzle Rush won't really help you. If you use it correctly, the way I use it, it will help you tremendously. So, one of the things you need to do is find somebody that you're following for information that's building you up rather than telling you what's keeping you down. What you need to get better is you need information, you need knowledge, you need power, okay? So that's the deal. You don't want to say, well, you don't want to do this, and don't go negative, go positive, because a lot of the stuff, like I said about endgame study, is negative. There's things you have to know, like distant passed pawn. You got to know that knights have troubles with rook pawns. Now that's a general statement. There's exceptions. There's always exceptions, but that's a general statement. But the general statements are useful when you file them in your brain and go, okay, in general, if I can get an endgame where if I have a rook pawn and a knight that's got in kind of a bad position, he could have trouble and you could be down a piece. He could have the knight, you have the pawn, and the pawn wins because the general situation is that the knight has trouble with the rook pawn specifically. Also, stuff like, well, bishops are generally better than knights, but that's very subjective. It'll matter. It will make a difference from time to time of why that is or is not the case. I mean, there's a lot of things I teach personally that other people don't really teach, or they don't teach it the way I teach it. And the way I teach it is really awesome because I do it to make things better for you, make it easy to remember. This is a hesitation check. A hesitation check, we check a guy setting us up or setting him up for a follow-up check that's devastating. Okay, let me go back here in one moment here. This is very important. So the hesitation check here is, I can't do anything. Queen takes here, no good. The hesitation check forces a weakness in this case, and then we're going to go queen takes pawn here, and he's annihilated. All right? So this is a hesitation check. I invented this term. Why? Because my invented term and the explanation puts this into your brain forever like that. It's like, you remember what a hesitation check is? Oh, yeah. So, now, like anything else, you become aware of something, and then through repeated exposure, you grasp it at whatever speed you grasp. And see, you grasp things at a different speed than me. Some things you'll grasp faster than me. Some things you'll grasp slower than me. It doesn't make me better than you on that thing or you better than me on that thing. That's just one element, and there's so many elements here. So we're going to get this guy. Bing, bing. He's toast. So these are the things that I'm, explaining to you in general. Like I said, there's reasons you don't get better at chess, and that's because you're not doing it right. The getting better at chess in the way that works for you. Now, the key thing is finding the ways that work for you. Myself, my experience of how I got better at chess was I didn't do good I didn't do as well in the tournament as I thought I should. And so, to me, it was fairly obvious. I have to get better. It's just that, I have to get better. And then I was like, okay, what is it you don't know? And one of the things you can do, now I came up in my chess improvement, the big chess improvement for me was in the 80s in tournaments. I would go to tournaments, play tournaments, finish whatever position you would finish in. And while this is going on, I would go and watch other games, look at them, and look and see what's going on. What catches your eye, okay? And then in those tournaments, they had two sections: one for the higher rated players, above 1800. The rest was below 1800. So when I was below 1800, I would go watch the big boys. Well, that's where I'm going. I'm going to where the big boys are, okay? So you're not going to get better as fast watching the lower ranks to a degree. What you will see at the lower ranks are things not to do or not to repeat, which can be very instructional. So there's a two-path route of instruction for me. I watch the lower rated guys. Now this is a generalization. I watch the lower rated guys to find the things I don't want to do, see the mistakes, because they're going to make more mistakes. Then at the same time, I was looking at the higher rated guys, looking, what is it that I want to do? So I want to learn what not to do and learn what to do. That's the thing. If you don't know what you want to avoid, how would you know what you're trying to gain? Now, this is really a pain in the butt on this problem. I'm telling you, I'm looking at this going, I don't know. Can't move the knight because this rook is drilling my queen. So that's not cool unless I can move with some kind of nasty threat. Oh, I can do a nasty threat. Here, knight to f2. Exclamation, forking, king, queen, and rook. Pfft. Hey, here, just take your knight. King takes free knight. Well, it's not free. Queen takes rook. Oh. Okay, let me take your queen. The rook takes queen. Knight takes queen, check. Uh-oh. In-between move. And that's what this tactic is based upon, the in-between move. All right? So there's different tactics you have to know. This will help you improve. And that's why you're looking at these videos. You need to learn tactics to help you improve, because once you build the arsenal of tactics or the tools of tactics, then you can do stuff. Another thing that you're not doing when you study openings, don't try to be a master of all openings. That's not necessary for what you're trying to do. First, you need to be good. Work on specific openings. If you want to be smart about it, the smart way is find what's interesting to you and study those, and you want to look at the repeating positions that occur of, say, Sicilian defense, French defense, King's Indian defense in general, if that's what you're playing. Okay? I don't want you to study Benko Gambit, if you're going to be a Nimzo Indian player. Now, there's nothing that says you can't study it, but first you need to get good at what you're playing. All right? Gee, I'll give you a real world example. It's super simple. Gee, I'd like to become a better basketball player. Hey, why don't you go study some baseball? That doesn't even sound right. That's what I'm talking about. If you want to be better at the, if you're playing Nimzo Indian, you need to study Nimzo Indian. And I mean, look at it hardcore. Watch games of players. I don't care if you've heard of them or not. You want to see the position. Doesn't matter if that guy's 1800 or 2500. You want to see the positions that occur, learn the frequented situations that occur on the board and how to react to them. Okay? Now, at 1800 and at 2500, we'll react differently, but you become familiar with it. So you learn Nimzo Indian if you're a Nimzo Indian player. You study King's Indian defense if you're a King's Indian player. You see how this works? I don't want you studying Benko Gambit while you're studying King's Indian defense, if that's what you're playing. Study what you play. Study one, become confidently good at it, and then branch out by all means. Then you can go study Benko Gambit if you want to, it's a fantastic opening, okay? But you've got to go one step at a time. You don't want to go, King's Indian defense, Nimzo Indian defense, Benko Gambit. That's just stupid. You're overloading your brain. Now, there's a value in having diversification of knowledge, but we build it one weapon at a time. Your openings that you play are weapons. That's how you have to look at them. You have never probably heard anyone ever say that, except me. It's a weapon. Learn your weapons, and then go get another weapon if you want. Learn one weapon. Learn the second weapon. Learn a third weapon. Now, there's an exception to that. Maybe you're one of those guys that can learn 3 or 4 openings at the same time. Go and do that. Learn what works for you, not what works for me. I'm going to give you the advice that I have used in my tournament, playing. Knight takes queen, check. Okay, so that was, that's a very helpful idea in general. It's not obvious, and that's the thing. So you got to learn what works for you. Study your opening specifically. You got to study. In-game study has to start with king and pawns, and then go branch out king and rook. Those are the most common endgames. So you're better off studying the common endgames, not the super rare. Well, 2 bishops on a knight versus other minor pieces. That's fine. But what's the odds of that happening? Another common endgame, bishop versus knight, when one is stronger than the other. But you don't need to go and study, I need to work on this endgame of queen versus rook. Okay. I mean, that's kind of a special deal. Kings and pawns, number 1. Rooks and pawns, number 2. Bishop versus knight, probably number 3. Okay. If you have someone that's older, more experienced, and has knowledge that you can talk to personally, like the two of you can meet together better. So these are, like I said, these are things that will help you. A lot of times that people want to get better and they try something and it doesn't work immediately. Well, some studies in chess, but chess is a weird game. And this is the thing, that if you don't know this, you're going to have troubles. So chess is a weird game. Chess improvement is slower than a lot of games. Like in some cases of sports, basketball, baseball, football, learning proper foot sequence, in 5 minutes, you've got it, and you're like, oh, wow, man, this is devastatingly impressive, okay? So chess is a slow improvement game. And the improvements will appear in a way like in physics is quantum leaps. You'll just, be, and then, so you're like, let's say you're 1300, you're studying, you just get this big jump, and it's like, whoa, what happened? This is all the things have been coalescing in your brain, and when the trigger works inside your mind, that's when it happens. And there's different things that are going to cause these triggers. They're not specifically obvious, and it's very subjective. what works for you and what works for me is different. And it's like, it's okay that it's different. But, don't get frustrated. People get frustrated in chess. Wowzers. And that doesn't do anything. I don't know, man. It's a toughie. Okay. Oh, I see what's happening here. Maybe. That is a good question. Really. Okay. That is weird. Oh, let's do this. Sometimes it's more obvious than others. Sometimes it's just moving 2 squares and checkmating. Okay. So some of the things to improve in chess are nebulous concepts, hard to identify. Know your checkmates. Hard to explain. Now this is the smothered mate. This is what is known as the Philidor legacy, because Philidor from the 1700s showed this sequence first. There's a history of chess to me, and I got this idea from my coach, Mr. Amen. He was a science teacher at my high school and had the chess club. Very good player. And so he gave us, historical stuff like the Philidor legacy that I showed you there. So it doesn't matter if you know that's the Philidor legacy or not. You have to know that technique. Now, for me, knowing it with a name is how I realized that I invented names for all kinds of different positions and tactics that helps people learn them much faster. So indirectly, my idea comes from my chess coach. I call this the knight queen walk. Now normally this knight wouldn't be here on the walk and you would just checkmate him, but it's the same effect. And the thing is, a lot of chess, to learn it, is very repetitious, which is both good and bad. It's good when you realize that you can manipulate the sequence. Learn how the mind works, and we're going to do things in a way that is mind learning friendly. That's what I mean, manipulate. So we're going to do a lot of things. One of the things that people do a lot of is they play a lot of speed chess. In fact, I was talking to my nephew and he was doing it, and I go, you need to cut this down. Playing way too much speed chess. I was watching him play those games, and I just told him, this is garbage chess. All you're learning is garbage. He's not anywhere close to my strength, but he wants to get better. I'm like, okay, when you see someone doing something that's not going to help them, that's when you step in and go, no. Okay, so cut down the speed chess. Speed chess is garbage chess. When you play it, you might be thinking that you look like Hikaru. When I see people playing it, lower rated players, I see people not getting better and reinforcing the bad habits that make them not good. Ta-da! That's the difference. So, and these are things that I'm doing this, like while I'm doing these problems, so you can see these tactics, because I'm showing you the tools of chess, or the weapon, a different kind of weapon, the tactical weapon versus the opening strategic weapon. So, righty then. Because I'm thinking about this, it's very difficult in chess to, do the thing that I'm trying to do here for you, because there's no manual of how to do this. It's very odd. So it comes to me here and there. So right now I'm looking at this position where we have this. He's attacking my queen. What's he trying to do to me? And then what am I trying to do to him is the flip of my dad's rule. So remember, my dad's rule number 1, know how to win the game. The rule number 2 is what's he trying to do to me? And on the other half of the coin of what's he trying to do to me is what can I do to him? So those two are two sides of the same coin. All right? So this is the mental structure of how you learn chess. Is super huge, and no one ever talks about it. Like, well, it's got to go hit the books, and get some experience, and they dance around the concepts that are just ironclad. And that's why I'm telling you this in this video, to explain this to you. These are things you need to write down or not. I'm not a write it down type of guy. My father was a write it down kind of guy. His technique was, you might find this useful, that's why I'm telling you. My dad would play a tournament and look at his games to the best of his own ability and try to realize what happened bad. And then he had a thing that he called his book of mistakes. Don't get pawn forked. My father hated pawn forks. He thought that was an insult to his intelligence. And so it really bothered him. And so that's the thing that made my dad good at chess, is that he wasn't great. My dad was hovering in the 1500s, okay? But that was really good, because my dad had the disadvantage of learning chess as an adult. Now, he made me the chess monkey by teaching me like when I was 7. Right around 7. Might have been a little bit earlier. And his idea, indirectly, was to make me the chess monkey. That's the phrase I call myself. I was the chess monkey. Turns out my dad was genius, ahead of his time, really, with this concept. And no one knew. We were just doing it for fun. So, we played chess for fun, which was a big deal. And then when I discovered tournaments, I told my dad, he's like, I don't know this. He finally decided, hey, wait a second. I was going to multiple tournaments. He was like, wait a second. What's this monkey up to? I'm speculating. I don't know this to be true, but something along the lines of, what is this guy? Why is he going? So he was like, okay, let me go to a tournament with you and see what it's like. So he goes there and he's like, my dad was like a kid who walked in to an amusement park. That's what it was like for him. It was like, oh, that's what he wanted. Okay, because he had chess club at his college, and we did that. It was fine, but the chess tournament that we went to at University of Houston, that guy was a fantastic tournament director, and man, couldn't have had a better guy to introduce myself to tournaments, as well as my father, to a guy who was super nice guy, super strong player, but ran the chess tournaments. He was doing it. He made money doing it, but he was really good at chess and terrific guy, just an awesome dude to be doing it. It was just fantastic. So that was the difference. And once my dad got the tournaments, then, I have to get better. Like myself was like, oh, now there's a reason to really get better, so we're on it. Okay, man, this is a really annoying problem. Oh, man. I got this knight's really a pain. If I take his queen, he takes my queen. The problem is and then he's on my knight. I can take his knight, and he takes my bishop. We're even. Ah, there you go. So this is the old finger counting. And this is another one. I invented this one myself. Now, I'm sure the people have done this idea, but have never mentioned it because you kind of, without videos, you really can't do it. You can't, widespread. So I've never seen this before. But this is me in the 80s. I'm like, this is what is known as a desperado. In chess, the desperado is you take, I take, you take, I take, or I take, you take, I take, you take, I take, hopefully, right? And so it's a sequence of long sequence of taking pieces and having pieces taken, et cetera, and you're looking for the in-between move with a final position that comes about with a specific sequence of exchanges where hopefully you figure out how to profit by winning a piece. Sometimes it's a positional crushing, sometimes it's a pawn that is devastating. In this case, it's a piece. Now I'm going to show you the secret. The secret, I was just running through the brute force method. I take your queen, he takes my queen, I take, okay, so I did that, but I'm going to show you how it works. And in my mind, I was like, oh man, this is winning. So here's what it is. And I use fingers. Now, I don't do this I do it in tournaments, but not in front of your face, in front of the camera. I do it, my hands go under the table. And so no one sees me going, they think I'm having a seizure. It's like, get medical attention. This guy's about to, whatever. No, I'm just being funny. So here it is. Bishop takes his queen. Whoops, I got to keep this on camera. Bishop takes queen. Knight takes my queen. So we're even. Now my bishop is under attack, and so is his knight. He's attacking my knight on f6. So I go, knight takes his knight on f6. He goes, pawn captures my bishop from a2 to b3. And then you'll notice that my g-pawn is attacking his knight on f4. Pawn takes free knight, is how my dad would describe this. So you're seeing, whoops, I have three pieces here that I'm taking. My opponent has 2. My 3 beats your 2. Let's do it again. Always do it more than once. Don't be fancy, is what my father would say. Don't be fancy. So, bishop takes his queen. I got a new way to show this on the camera. It just occurred to me. Things that you learn, okay? Bishop takes his queen. Knight takes my queen. It's 1-1. Knight takes his knight. No, I'm sorry. Yes, my knight takes, not on f6. My knight on f6. I said it to you wrong, which is why I need to do this correctly. My knight takes his knight on g4. Okay? So let's go back and start at the beginning. This is what I always do in the tournament. If anything comes up and alters my focus, go back to square one. Bishop takes his queen. That's 1. Knight takes my queen on g4. My knight on f6 takes his knight on g4. His pawn on a2 takes my bishop on b3. It's 2-2. But the only thing left to do is for me to play g5 pawn takes free knight. And that's the last one because I have no other pieces under attack. This is absolutely winning. Bishop takes queen is the move. Knight, this is the second piece that capture. Well, and he's going to capture my bishop. Pawn takes free knight, you lose. That's how my dad would say it. Now, I have a bunch of other videos like this. And in those videos, they're all like this. I don't assume you know anything from a previous video. So normally I would have said, it doesn't matter if this is the first or the 10th or whatever video you've seen of mine, you're not going to be missing. There's no gap that you're missing. You're going to see different tactics, etc., etc. But I explain these things to you as if to you, the audience at whole, as if this is the first one you've ever seen. So I don't go, well, remember back in episode 30, I had this. I don't do that. That's dumb. Every lesson is self-contained, chock full of gold, okay? Absolutely chock full of gold. Okay, here, right now I've covered the main things about why you're not getting better at chess in general. If something comes up that just jogged in my memory, I'll mention it, but we're going to concentrate really for the rest of this. Now we've gone through like 28 problems to continue with these problems, and so we can get better. Now, when we're playing these problems, one of the things that's great about the sequence of I was doing this to make this video originally, this series of videos. I was started this for my nephew so he could get better, and I realized I stumbled across the sequence that improves not only the watching person's video, the video watching person's skill, but mine as well, because I point out my own mistakes that I make sometimes in my sequence of calculations. Like the previous video, I made a mistake. I misstated something, and so it prompted me to explain to you to reset my calculations. In tournaments, it's all in here. One of the things on the computer, when you do this yourself, don't grab the mouse like this. You don't grab, that's a temptation. Make the move when you're ready to make the move. My advice really is make a move when you know the sequence. Sometimes there are positions that are a little complicated where you need to see the sequence go. It gets to a fork in the road, and you have to take fork A or B or whatever. That's okay. But in general, I'm seeing the whole sequence like I showed you on the last problem, where I was going to win. Take 3 pieces, he takes 2, I end up a piece ahead. Okay, I knew the whole sequence. Now here, I'm looking at this rook on 5, go to e6 to check here. So this one here, rook checks. The only legal move he has in this 3x3 matrix where the king lives here is king to f5. Now I can check him with g4 check. Again, he's got one legal move. That would be king to f4. Now this rook is on e6. He's no longer attacking it. I think rook f7 to me looks like a checkmate. Got plenty of time. You have plenty of time to analyze this. So in a tournament, you're doing this. I'm losing here. If I don't checkmate him, we're going to get checkmated ourselves. All right? Queen h1 is a checkmate. What's he trying to do to me? That's my dad's rule number 2. In previous videos, I counted his main rule, but this is a later video. This is September 3rd, 2024, in case that might help. So this is an improvement on the structure of my dad's things. So here, rook 5 to e6 check. Now, this is another thing I try to teach. I want you to think in your mind as I say these. Say these like the real chess moves. I'm not going to go rook to here check. Hey, what move did you play? Rook to here check. What does that mean? I played rook 5 to e6 check. Okay, no problem. All right, you see, so I want to think in chess moves, not rook here, bishop goes there, pawn goes, that's stupid. It's not structurally logical, and it's easy to get disoriented in your calculations. I want calculations to be simple, like 2 + 2. Okay? I want it to be 2 + 2 = 4. It's just the facts. So rook 5, e6 check. We say in chess, only move or forced because there's no other move that's legally possible. I don't want to go rook 5, e6 check. The only possible move is to put the king on f5. That's long and drawn out, and it gets complicated. So rook 5, e6 check, king f5 forced, or king f5 only move. Whichever one floats your boat, it doesn't matter. I use both interchangeably because they're interchangeable. So rook 5, e6 check, king f5 forced, g4 check, giving us complete control here. f5, g5, h5. King f4 only move. This rook is now out of position for the king. He's not attacking. So rook f7 gives me 2 pillars, check, guarding this pawn. He can no longer come here. That's a checkmate. This is just a checkmate. Ugh. Okay. Well. I realize I haven't said my dad's favorite phrase yet, but we'll get to it. Okay, now that's very interesting. Yeah, I think this is a deal here. Sometimes, you know, you solve problems instantly because everyone's different. I see something super fast. You see something else super fast. It's not about being fast. Fast is a bonus, okay? It's about being accurate. Now, if you're accurate with speed, your name is Hikaru, all right? Or Magnus. That's the way it is, okay? Speed is nice. Accuracy is the #1 priority. Trumps everything else. You can be the slowest dude in town, but if you're playing the best move in the position to your ability, every time you're going to win a lot of games, like me, all right? Or like your favorite, you know, grandmaster. So, and by the way, I'm not a grandmaster. So here, I got this one very quickly, but that's just an aside. So what happens on this one, he moved his queen over here. Conceptually, that looks wrong to me, to my chess eye in this type of position. Normally, you would have seen, I would think, something queen to e7, queen to d7 possibly. You know, now I'm thinking e7 or c7 is the more normal-ish move rather than queen takes free pawn. Sometimes it's not free, is what my dad would say. Well, sometimes it's not free. Well, he took it thinking it was free. Problem is, the move that wins is not obvious, which is killer. The move that wins is an interference move. And you'll ask yourself, well, I don't hear interference. What is interference? Interference means you're going to put something in the way of the opponent's pieces. In this case, I'm going to play interference move of b6. What does that do? Pawn takes free pawn. Idiot. Oh. Okay. Oh. Now you see interference. I realize that I own these squares. I own those squares. He's trying to escape. Hasta la vista, baby. Interference. Oh, man, this guy's asking for it. That's what my friend Brownie would say. He's asking for it. What's he asking for? Let me calculate what my Hikaru eye saw. Is juicy, so I got to use. Now here's the thing. There's 2 things we have. We have the chess eye and the chess brain. I'm going to tell you the secret. The chess brain is always better than the chess eye, but the chess eye sometimes is right. Like this. So chess brain now is going into function. E. Every time I make that sound, I'm making a move. E. 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 Now what? Oh yeah, dude, this is nasty. This is the destruction sacrifice. This is what I saw. But I had to see all of the possibilities. Checkmate. Ooh. Chess eye sees knight checks here. Too bad chess brain sees checkmate. Okay, this is a great example. First thing I saw literally was knight f6 check. And then I realized, hey, wait a second. When I see king in this position here, know your checkmates. The king opposing the position of the king when the king's on the back rank is just telling me, look for the rook, mate, idiot. Okay, there you go. Now, I haven't mentioned it before, but you'll see the number on the screen. 32 is how many problems I've done in a row. The little green squares, I don't know if you can see the numbers, but the numbers on them tell you the rating. That was what, a 1730. All right? So that was a 1730 problem. All right. Chess brain sees some nasty stuff. Chess eye sees nasty stuff. Sorry. Chess brain has to figure out. Yes, there's moves like rook takes bishop check, queen to e8 check, both of which are inferior. Now here's what separates the men from the boys. Why can I not play? Okay. Here's another one. Player X cannot play move whatever combo that you're playing. All right, why? I'm not going to name them specifically, but in this case, I tell you, I'm player X. I'm telling you that combo Y. Why can I not play queen to e8? I can put that queen there anytime I want. What a player means when he says someone can't do something, it's either illegal by the rules, like the piece is pinned and can't move because it's pinned to the king, or you're checking him, he's got only one possible move that he can't go to a certain square, etc. So if I checked him queen to e8, he cannot literally play king to c7. It's blocked by his own pawn. I can't play this because it's not a winning move. That's what I'm telling you. General use of the he or she cannot do this is that it's not winning. Okay? It's throwing away an advantage. It's just not going to win. So I can play queen e8 check, but it's not a good move because I have a better move. And the reason is, the defensive reason is, this is what separates, one of the separations. Okay, we say what separates the men from the boys conceptually means there's often many things that separate the beginner from the expert. And that is, what separates the men from the boys is the classic English phrase. What separates the men from the boys is knowing how this fails. I need to know not only does it succeed or not, but how does it fail if it fails. And so the narcissistic player, which is someone who's interested only in his own glory, loses games because he's not thinking outside of the box. Go, okay, what is possibly wrong with this move? So queen e8 check, question mark, rook to d8 potentially is the problem, if this is a bad move. So queen e8 check, he's got rook to d8. Now, do I have a move that can alter that evaluation of question mark here? Like rook takes bishop? Well, he would just take my queen, so that would be stupid, right? Well, actually, it turns out I can play queen to e8 check. And that's the thing. When someone asks you, hey, do you know what the move is here? Sometimes that puts pressure on you. And rightfully so. But what I want to teach you is that your goal as a chess player, and this is one of the things you have to learn. If I ask you a question, do you know the answer to this? You want to say yes. And I want you to say yes, that you have the answer, because it demonstrates skill on your part. However, what we have to learn at some point is that it's perfectly fine to say, I'm sorry, I don't understand, or I don't see it, whatever. And that means you're transferring from someone who's under pressure, who feels the pressure of not knowing this, to accepting the fact that it's okay not to know this, because after we're done with this not knowing situation, you're going to know. So you're learning. You're here to either demonstrate, when someone asks you a question about chess, you want to demonstrate that you have the knowledge to solve that or answer that question properly, or if you don't, to learn how to answer it properly the next time. Every time you don't know something, it's an opportunity in chess to learn. That's what makes it special, all right? That's why you make videos, to teach people things they don't know, so that I don't say you're stupid because you don't know something. I say you're an opportunity for me to teach you how to be even smarter than you have been before. So when you watch my video, you should be excited because you go, I'm going to be smarter at the end of this video than I was when I started. Let's rock. That's how I look at it, okay? That's how I look at chess. So for me, queen e8 check. The only move that's any good, or legal actually, rook to d8. There's a crushing move. It's a bump and score. I named this the bump and score, which nobody else has done, because it explains to you, well, you already know. If you've seen my bump and score, or if you, once you have absorbed the knowledge of bump and score, you know that that bump means that king is moving away from that rook, and I'm going to eat that rook with my queen. So queen e8 check, rook d8 only move, bishop to f5 check. No white squared bishop, no queen can block this diagonal. Adios, muchacho. Bump and score. Outstanding. Okay, this is what my videos do that nobody else's videos do. Now, there's a lot of guys that have great videos, good players. I'm not insulting them. I'm just showing you my way of doing it. And my way of doing it is intentionally set up to speed your learning. It's just that simple. It's not nothing else. It's not no weirdness. Now, everyone's different. My videos might be the best one to teach you. Somebody else's videos might be the best to teach you. That's okay with me. It doesn't matter to me. It's not insulting me. My videos are great. I'm just going to tell you right now, they're great. Because I teach you things nobody else teaches. In a way nobody else has ever thought to teach. That's the best part. Son of a freak. Okay. Thing that jumps to my mind, queen takes free knight check. That's what my dad said. He used to say it to me when I was a kid. It was really annoying. But guess what it did? My dad was a genius ahead of his time. And that it made me want to get better. So queen takes free knight. I'm like, okay. So when I got the chance, I played queen takes free knight back at him. Okay, or queen takes rook, whatever. And so it's, you know, it gives you this rivalry aspect. Oh, I got you now. He's toast. I'm checkmating this guy. Because I figured out there's an in-between move, sort of. Actually, it's really a hesitation check. It's what it is. Now look at this king. My lesson, you never hear this anywhere else. The king lives in a 3x3 matrix, okay? Now I'm a math guy by training. That's why I think of this as a matrix. All right? Because that's what it is. It's 3x3. King's in the center. You got all these 9 squares. He's in one. He's got 8 to move to. So this bishop takes this dark square e7. This is blocked by the bishop, blocked by the rook, all 3 of these, blocked by his pawn. If I can check him and block this pawn, this one here. So queen takes free knight check is the chess eyes move, and turns out the chess brain says, I agree, that is the move. This is a forced checkmate. The only move, queen. Now, in tournaments, I'm looking at this going, here's the sequence in tournament chess that my chess eye saw was free. It was queen takes free knight check. I go, well, he's going to go bishop to d6, dummy. What? I'm going to use my dad's favorite phrase. Queen takes knight check, bishop to d6. What are you going to do now, Bobby Fischer? Because Bobby Fischer was the greatest player of the 70s by far. Still is. To some of us. Anyway, queen takes free knight check, bishop d6. What are you going to do now, Bobby Fischer? Well, but my inner Bobby Fischer says, queen to c4 checkmate. That's what I see. So let's lay it on him. That's what I saw. My inner Bobby Fischer says, checkmate. Okay. Chess eye instantly sees the move. Now chess brain has to calculate, is that the correct move that, you know, generates advantage for your position. So that move is this: bishop takes c4 check. Bishop takes f7 check. King cannot take bishop. What does that mean? If he takes it, he loses. Queen takes free queen. So bishop takes pawn check. Devastating move. Do we have anything else? Ooh. Yes, we do. He has to play king to e7. It's the only response. He has two responses. Take the bishop or don't take it. If he takes the bishop, we take the free queen. He's not going to take the bishop. King to e7. I spy with my little eye. Bishop to a3, check. Now what, Bobby Fischer? His Bobby Fischer. Yeah. And now that is to poke fun at the fact that he's not Bobby Fischer. Now he's going to have to take the bishop. And then we're going to take this queen for free. So bishop takes f7, check. Bishop to a3, check. Yeah. Bishop takes free pawn, check. Queen takes free queen. My brother would tell you this move almost as fast as I do. The F pawn was pinned. My brother learned the value of the pin. It was one of the first lessons he totally mastered, and he used it to beat a guy. When my brother was 1300, he beat this 1800 guy, really great player, nice guy, helped me get better. He was like, I refer to him as my chess grandfather because he was, a grandfather at that age in the 80s. Super nice guy, man. This guy was a super Texan. So, all white hair, mustache. He wore bolo tie. If you don't know what that is, ask your father to possibly explain it to you. He dressed quintessential stereotype Texan, okay? Had belt buckle, leather belt, fantastic. A belt buckle, I swear to you, that was got to be at least this big, okay? Boots, all nice, nice, several $100 pair of boots that he would wear. This guy was a super Texan, all right? Fantastic. My dad liked him. They got along great. His name was Mr. Anderson. Tremendous player. Really a great guy. He gave me this book. I'll show you the book. I didn't plan this, but I don't edit the videos because that way it's all real and I don't set this up or whatever. But this is the book, My System by Aaron Nimzovich. He gave this to me. I was like 1700. He goes, guaranteed 250 points to your rating. He was wrong. It was way more than 250. And he would not mind me saying that he was wrong with his 250 point guarantee because it was probably 500 points that I got from that book. So he's like, oh, that's even better. One of those things. So anyway, that's how that problem, that's how I remember that. In fact, my brother and I were talking about that this weekend, previous. So here, it looks like this is pretty basic stuff. To me, what I'm seeing, queen checks on e8 check, queen to e8 check, king h7, queen takes h5. That looks like a two-move checkmate. Because his bishop guards g8, he can only go here. So queen e8 check, king h7 forced, queen takes pawn, that's a checkmate. Know your checkmates. That's a checkmate. Wow. Well, here's the thing. If I can check this king, where's he going to go? Is the question I ask myself. We're not under any threats or anything like that. So this is clearly, we had a free hand. So I'm going to show you what is known as the brute force technique. The brute force technique is take the most brutal, obvious check and see where it goes. So if I check this guy, where does he go? Let's just look at this. B4, check. King to A4 is the only move. Okay, so if I check him, this is his only move. Okay, fine. Pardon me. I don't know where that cough came from. So, you know, I see that I have this. Oh, what a jerk. I can't play this. I had this idea of knight to c3, guarding a4 with the knight. Stupid. Knight to c3, double question marks. Because knight takes rook, escaping the checkmate net. So I need to go back to this b4 move. Now I see that this is the right move. b4 check. King a4 forced. Can I check him on a4? Well, I can play knight c3 check. And he can't go back because now the rook doesn't check him. The temptation is to play this knight c7 or knight c3. That's the temptation. But that is the flawed temptation. You want to b4 check him. King to a4. Knight to c3 is checkmate because the rook is here just as a barrier, not as a active check guy where he can play knight takes rook. So the answer is b4, and this is a checkmate. Know your checkmates. Know what is and is not as a checkmate. I mean, you know, just be aware of it. Really, I say no. Be aware of checkmates is probably a better phrasing. Okay. Two moves that jump off the board at me. Rook or queen to f7 check. Now, I tend to go rook here check because I'd like queen h4 option. So I rook check him, king h6, queen h4, that's a checkmate. Rook f7 check. He can only go to two squares either, and this would be devastating. King to g8 double question mark is just like you're asking for it big time, okay? You're going to walk into this rook e7, I'll win his queen. So rook f7 check, king h8, well, he's getting checkmated again. It's either checkmate or I win his queen. Rook f7 check, king h8, queen h4, check, king g8, queen h7, that's a checkmate, okay? You got to be able to see this here in your brain. That's why I'm not moving any pieces. I'm showing you where these are going. Rook f7 check, king g8. Well, we can play rook e7 check, thinking we're going to win his queen. He's going to go, it doesn't matter, king to h8. Again, queen checks here. He's just winning. He is just annihilated with this move. Okay, now, Bobby Fischer, referring to myself, how sure are you of your analysis? Worst case scenario, I can play rook e7 check, king h8, and go here. Rook e7 check. He cannot play king to f8. Why can he not do it? Because queen f7 is checkmate. So, the best move. Always assume in your tournament analysis that your opponent plays the best possible move that you can see. If he plays something bad, you'll annihilate him. Fine. If he plays the best move and you can beat that, that's improvement. Okay. So yes, later on, after Mr. Anderson gave me this book, I beat him multiple times, actually, because I was at the time 20 or 21 on the rocket ride of chess improvement. He was 65 plus. I don't know exactly how old. He might have been 70. I don't know. Very good player. You know, not insulting him at all to say that I beat him, because that was the goal. You know, he was proud indirectly, like a grandfather would be proud that I could get, he met me when I was not at his level. I got to his level and surpassed it substantially. That was the job of an older gentleman. He doesn't want to lose a game, obviously, but the success is like he knew that he was directly involved in my beating him by helping me get to a level where I could beat him. So He was not enjoying the fact that I won games from him, but he knew that he helped mold me into the player that could beat him. So it was very, like I say, he's my chess grandfather for all practical purposes. So yeah, rook e7 is the correct move. In my spidey senses, I knew this is the right move. I mean, I could have analyzed this. I'm working on the video and slightly distracted. That's not an excuse, by the way. But my spidey senses told me I'm winning. I didn't see this move. Some moves you don't have to see. But I should have seen it. I'm just telling you. Okay. That deflects my queen. I can't play queen to here. So all I can do, if he goes there directly, queen h4 is checkmating him on a7. Okay. Or actually, it would be if he doesn't play d5. If he goes king h8, queen h4 check, king g8 check, king to f8, and then queen g7 or f7 checkmates him by force. So he plays this because it deflects my queen from a checkmating sequence. That's fine. Rook takes queen. What are you going to do now, Bobby Fischer? Oh, sorry. Okay. We need to play rook takes queen. What are you going to do now, Bobby Fischer? The answer is doink. Easy win. Okay. You can make mistakes like I did there that are not penalizing. But it should be enough to warn you, hey, dummy, you're not as good as you think you might be sometimes. Okay. For me, my gut reaction is that I've got this free hand to play queen to g6 check with a possible checkmate here. Check. Knight goes in between the block. Check. I mean, this is terrible. He's getting checkmated, dude. What am I missing is the question that, any good player, when I'm watching those chess masters in the top section at the University of Houston, it was like, you'd see him doing stuff and like, it's queen g6 check. What are you doing? What are you taking forever for? Well, they're chess masters for a reason. I got my lesson to you is I got all day to figure this out. Because when I figure this out and checkmate this guy, I have all the rest of the day to rest for the next round. Not the rest of the day, but the rest of whatever time. So, you've got the rest of the time ahead of you to either rest after you won your game or to lament the stupidity that you demonstrated in not being clear and taking your time to win. The goal is not win in 10 seconds. That's not the goal. The goal is to do the best you can, and if you can win whatever time it takes, you do it. Queen g6 check. What can he do? King f1, queen to g2 is checkmate. He can't go anywhere, King h1, same, or h2, same story. It's just checkmate. He resigns. As I said before to you, sometimes it's just checkmate. But in your life, you will blow games. You'll throw them away, and then you're gonna go, oh my God, what was I doing, you idiot? And if you don't do that, you just started playing chess. Okay. To me, now look, what's he trying to do to me? My dad's number 2 rule. Knight takes queen, check. All right, I got to move. You're not going to get my queen, brother. Here's the sequence. I'm going to win this knight for nothing. You're like, what? Really? I think that's correct. Bishop takes pawn, check. Attacking his rook and his king. He's got to move it. He doesn't have to. He doesn't have to go to the corner. He could go. If he goes king to f1, I will annihilate him. Bishop would take rook, discovered, check, and it's over. King goes back to, actually, that's a checkmate. That's really bad. So, check, king f1, he gets checkmated by bishop, takes free rook. That's checkmate. All right? Thanks for playing, buddy. So, king h1 is forced. Not legally by legal, only move. It's not the only move by legality. It's the only move that doesn't instantly lose. So, then, we play queen takes rook check. Queen takes queen is forced. Bishop takes queen. Or, actually, I don't play bishop takes queen. I play pawn takes free knight. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I do that. Queen takes rook check. Yeah, it's bishop takes pawn check. Always restart from the beginning. King h1. Queen takes rook check. Queen takes queen. Bishop takes queen. And now, if he wants to taketh my rook, he's not. Yeah, I gotta take him back. Let me talk to my friends. Bishop takes pawn check. Now, I don't put a finger for the pawn. This is just for pieces. I don't need to put a finger for the pawn. So bishop takes pawn check. King h1 forced or loses. Queen takes rook check. Queen takes queen. Bishop takes queen. Knight takes rook. Bishop takes knight on c3. That's the secret move. And now if he takes my bishop, I take his knight. If he takes my rook, I play I can play bishop takes pawn on b2. His knight's hanging. So is his rook. So he has to play rook. He has to play rook to b1, threatening to take my bishop, except he can't take my bishop, and I'll tell you why. Because I'm going to play rook takes knight. You want to take my bishop on b2? You can do that. But guess what? It's a checkmate if you do it on rook to f1 checkmate. So this is a nasty combo. Look how long this dude is. Look, there's 7 captures here. Actually, there's 9 captures because I'm taking pawns along the way. You got to do it again, bro. Let's do it again. Bishop takes pawn check. King to h1 forced. Queen takes rook check. Queen takes queen. Bishop takes queen. Knight takes rook. Bishop takes knight on c3. And oh no, he's moving away. He's moving. He's going to move his knight, like knight to e6. That's okay. If he moves knight to e6, then I just remove my. I can go bishop takes b2, and I'm out of danger. All right, or bishop could go to f6, whatever. I'm 3-2 ahead. Sorry, I'm 3-2 ahead here. Okay, so this is bishop takes pawn check. King h1, queen takes check, queen takes queen, bishop takes queen. And if he takes my rook, bishop takes knight. And he's got a problem because I'm going to take his knight. If he takes my bishop, he plays pawn takes bishop. I play rook takes knight. And I end up with rook and bishop, and he's got just rook. This is over. Yes. Fingers win again, baby. All right. I see this king getting greedy. All right. What are you going to do now, Bobby Fischer? That's a good question. Notice what's he trying to do to me? He's trying to play this move. All right. So we're taking the gut move I wanted to play was rook checks on f3, king takes free knight, and I'm an idiot. So how about knight h3 check? This is called removal of liability. Get the knight out of liability. So he's now in a 3x3 here. I own this. I don't own g4, but I own everything else. So I check him. King g4 only move. But technically that's not true. He can take this pawn if I move that. Oh, dude. So this is the brute force technique I've just been demonstrating to you. Brute force technique, check him viciously with a knight, for example, saving the knight. But he can play king takes pawn or king to g4. So this is not that good. He's escaping. I don't like it. I can stop right here and go, this is no good. But this tells me what he's going to do. Tells me I have a weakness on e4 if I move the knight. Got a weakness on g4. So the thing here is I might be able to play h6. Looks awfully slow. I'd like to check him where this knight is guarded by my king. That's not going to work. He can check me. Guarded by this pawn, for example, he could check me again. I don't like this move. Ah, fudge. Oh yeah, let's just go. No, let's go ahead and check and brute force with the rook. He's going to take my knight. This is one of the things. Sometimes we have an aversion to giving away pieces, which is natural. That's fine. That's natural, reflexive, and it's self-defense. But I'm going to go, let's give it away and see where it goes. This brute force technique. I invented this technique and call it the brute force technique and explain to you what it is. The brute force technique, viciously check him. We tried the knight version. I didn't like that. King takes e4. Rook to f3 check. Take my free knight. King takes free knight. Let's go rook to f5 check. Where are you going to go, Bobby Fischer? Well, he could go king to g4, h5 check. He could go to h4. If he goes to h4, do I have anything special for him? I was thinking I could check him. He takes my knight. Check him. King h6, check him. And that doesn't work either. Son of a freak. I don't like this move. Oh! As my brother would say, oh! In fact, I said it almost sounded like my brother to myself. And I'm talking 99% close to my brother. So, yes, knight check is great. Take this pawn on e4. I beg you, sir. He can't take this. Give yourself three minutes. It should only take you 1 or 2 to figure out why he can't take this. If I check him with knight h3 check, king takes e4, double question mark. 3, 2, 1. The answer is I would play knight takes f2, forking check. So knight h3 check. He can only play king g4, otherwise he's losing. Well, that's awfully unique. How about if we check him again with h5 check? He can play again. He could go to h4. King to h4. Now what, Bobby Fischer? Oh! Knight h3 check, king g4, h5 check, king h4. I could play g5 check, maybe? King could take on h5. Do I have anything here? Son of a gun. Knight checks, king g4, h5 check. Do I want to play h5 check? I guess I do. King h4. And I have nothing that I can do. You're killing me. Not a big deal. What in the holy heck? Alright, knight h3 check. g4. h5 check. King to h4. Knight could take. Knight could take on f2. This is a real stumper. What is this problem? This is a 2200 plus problem. Why is this being such a butt? Check, king takes. It's not good. It's not rook check for sure. It's not this either. He'll just take my knight. Can't play king f6, rook to e6, or rook to rook to c6 or d6 is devastating. Okay, technically it's not devastating, but I hate when they do this. King to g4 is the much more dangerous move. Oh, same story. It's not h5 check, idiot. You're going to play the same combo. Okay, that's my fault. I was winning more than I thought I was winning. I thought, well, king g4, I'm screwed. No, I just played knight f2 anyway. I told you he couldn't take this. He took it. Because he can't go to g4 either. It's the same business. Okay. And when I take this rook, it protects my rook. All right. Give yourself 3 minutes. See if you can figure this one out. 3, 2, 1. The answer is the rook destruction sacrifice. He's dead, Jim, is the correct answer. Man, I want to check this guy with my queen. The queen here, check. He's going to play brute force technique. Queen g1 check, king c2, or king to e2. Hey, wait a second. Can I play check him here? If he takes my bishop with his queen, queen takes rook. That's not bad. Not 100% great either, but it's not bad. Check, king c2 or king to e2. I can take his rook in the corner. Oh, I'm under check, my brother. That's completely different. The answer becomes the more obvious. Oh, the obvious move is bad. King takes c3, I think. Yes, I want to play this. King to d3. Why? He's going to check me, and I'm going to play e4. Sure. Looks like a winner. I'd like to play bishop f5, but it does nothing. Game over. Thank you for playing, sir. I'd like to play bishop queen g4 check, but he's got bishop takes queen. I don't like that. What's he trying to do to me? Good question. Did I take my rook? All right. Here's a good one for you. I can play knight takes knight. You can't take my rook. Well, he could take it, but I wouldn't recommend it. Because now I've unleashed an open bishop on his queen, on his king side. So knight takes here, queen to here, queen to c6 threatens checkmate. He has to defend that. Very interesting. So knight takes knight, queen takes knight. Queen, oh geez, this is nasty. Queen to h3, threatening the bishop and a checkmate. What are you going to do now, Bobby Fischer? So knight takes knight, queen takes knight, recaptures, not queen c6, which is a nasty move, but queen h3 threatens the same checkmate here, plus queen takes free bishop. Sold. This is the move. He can't check me on... You cannot play queen checks here because I got a knight guarding g4. So if he guards the bishop, queen to e3, queen to f4, it's checkmate. Can't do that. See, I defend checkmate. Like bishop here, rook f2 is another move that would do it. Queen f2 would do it. I just play queen takes free bishop. Doink. We are winning here. Well, two main moves that come to mind. One thing is, if I play h4, knight takes h4 is a draw. You cannot checkmate with a knight alone. So we could check him here. You could also check him here. Check him here, he can't do anything really. The other thing is, oh, nasty. This is a difficult problem. You may have figured out something. Give yourself 3 minutes, see if you can figure this out. Might take 5, but 3, 2, 1. The thing about this, I was thinking about it, it's like, well, it's knight versus pawn, etc., etc. I go, this king is here really in a useful position. Now, I don't have the ability to show you and demonstrate something, but I'm going to use your brain power to help me. I want you to imagine, not that this is a king, imagine this is a bishop. So if this is a dark square bishop, notice this is a key thing. The bishop and knight are opposing each other when there's 2 squares in between. So if this is a dark square bishop, this knight cannot play this move. This knight cannot play this move. And the bishop would disallow this move. He would take the knight in all 3 cases. So I said, okay, my king is in the domination position if it was a bishop. I go, but there's other squares that this knight can go to, which is e3 and e1. But notice that my knight can dominate this knight now. This is a dual piece domination is what this is called. When the bishop opposes the knight here, it's called domination. But I can dominate him with the king and then block him and dominate him with this move. This is the winning move, by the way. Because I'm dominating the knight's 4 moves he has. And now I'm going to play king g4 and king g3. And then, as my father would say, king takes free knight. When I would play games like this, my dad would be at their tournament. He's thinking, he's like, he sees this move, and then I would look at him, and he would look at me, and he's like, that's it, you got him. Got to be careful, but this has already gone exactly as my plan was. That was a very rare double piece domination. Boy, I'd sure like to play e4, but he takes my knight. Knight takes free knight, or queen takes free knight. Either way, it doesn't really matter. I could play knight takes knight. Man, doesn't really do anything. Knight takes knight does nothing. He plays e takes knight, freeing up his bishop. It makes his structure a little inferior, but his development is inferior right now. Black has a lead in development, minuscule, but these are very powerful. What I see as a result, because look, this is what I call fantasy, the fantasy version. What if this knight and pawn weren't here? I'd play queen takes free rook. That's what I'd play. Knight takes check, gets rid of one of them with a check, pawn, and then pawn moves forward, uncorking this, but pawn takes pawn does nothing. However, when I realized that, I go, this is not the way to go. Look somewhere else, dummy. The answer is now look at checks. Bishop b4 check. This is an interference move, and this could be quite useful. So bishop checks. What are you going to do? This might not even go anywhere. Aha. I do have another move that's pretty interesting. But bishop checks. He could play bishop up here. He could play knight to here. Bishop checks. Let's go bishop d2 counter threats. Usually the most reasonable move. I don't know. That's a good question. I could play knight takes b3, queen can take b3 as well, and then e4 doesn't do anything specifically. I don't know, man. Knight takes knight, pawn takes e4. He needs to defend. Oh, how do you defend this? How do you defend this rook, Bobby Fischer? Don't check him. This bishop check is not a good move. You know, you have to consider it, and that I did. That's fine. But it turns out to give him free development. I don't need to give him development right now. Black is winning on development. Remember what I told you? My dad's #1 rule is know how to win the game. Well, part of that knowing how to win the game is knowing what is your advantage. It's not obvious. The answer is my advantage is my development. It isn't much, but it's something. Knight takes, knight check. Yeah, that's a wicked move. Pawn takes, e4, discovered attack on the rook, and it's like, well, what's he going to do? The mistake I had just made here originally was my knight takes, knight check, pawn takes knight, and e4 doesn't really do anything because he could stop me from taking his rook. It's, you know, but then I had stopped my analysis thinking that e4 is inferior, and then I realized that's what I call the X, and then I needed to go one more move. So X plus 1 is what I call this. This is the X plus 1 technique, I guess. We'll call it the X plus 1 technique. Knight takes, knight check. Pawn takes either G pawn or E pawn takes. And then E4, I've got an unblockable diagonal. He can block it with a knight. Knight to C3, this is the best move. Knight to C3, queen takes free knight check. Bishop to D2, now the queen is connected to the rook. He doesn't lose the rook, but the vulnerability of the rook gets me a knight for free. Goodbye. Okay, I will take it. Should have played knight C3. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Brother, you look like you're asking for it here. Oh, an interesting sequence. What is the sequence that wins is the question. What is the winning order? The thing I'm looking to do is combinations based upon knight takes C3 check because I've got this rook pinned. So his queen could take. Or more appropriately, his queen is forced to take. Check, queen takes. What happens? I got a queen attacking this rook and then not have a rook attacking this rook. So it's not getting me anywhere. Technically, I have bishop to A3. I think B3 would solve that. So this move looks like it's inferior because B3 counterattacks my queen. Not really because it's pinned, but it stops this, and rook takes, queen takes really doesn't do much for me. So it's not getting there necessarily. Rook takes, pawn check, queen takes. I mean, king takes, I just go rook checks. You might be in trouble. Not really. Well, king to here is forced. Oh, I see. That's interesting. Rook takes, pawn check, queen takes. Knight takes, pawn check. Looks like... Whoa, no. Yeah, this is a classic. Okay, here's the thing I was just looking at. Rook takes, pawn check, destruction, sacrifice. If he takes with the king, we hit him with the rook. If he goes to the corner, we take his queen. We can't take his queen. He's got a knight there. That jerk, son of a freak. Rook takes, pawn check. King takes, rook checks. King to the corner. Fudge. Doesn't get it. Man, I had this great concept that just doesn't... I was like, rook takes, queen takes, and then rook goes to B8, skewering king and queen. He can take it. Queen takes free rook, the best possible move. Then we hit him with the check. And he could just play this move, you idiot. Oh no, we'd hesitation check him with queen to a3 check. So knight c3, it'd be rook takes pawn check, queen takes pawn, queen takes rook, rook b8, queen takes rook, knight takes c3 check. This queen is cutting this white square off. If he comes forward to attack the knight, queen to a3 check, and now king in the corner and queen takes pawns at checkmate. Rook takes pawn check, queen takes rook, rook to b8, queen takes rook, knight checks, he can't go forward. If he goes here to a1, queen takes pawns at checkmate. If he goes here to c1, we have bishop a3 check, king to d2. This is getting really ugly. I can't play that move. Son of a freak. Check there. King to c1. We could play check. King to d2. We could play. Knight takes. This is not working. There's something wrong here, and I don't know what it is. Here's an interesting move. Knight takes c3 check. He can't take my queen. He can't take this. He can play queen takes, right? Queen takes. But then what? I don't have a really good follow-up. I've got bishop to b4. I don't see that this is really that great. Or I can play rook takes rook. He can't play bishop takes rook because queen takes rook check. So knight checks, queen takes, rook takes rook. Queen. Oh no, he could play rook takes rook. He plays rook takes rook. Bishop to b4 skewers that. I'm destroying his position. I'm getting rid of a lot of material to end up with rook versus two minor pieces. Knight checks, queen takes, rook takes, or bishop takes is good too. It doesn't matter. You can play bishop takes, right? No, he can't because queen takes. So rook takes, and then bishop to b4, essentially, and I'll play bishop takes rook. Bishop takes there. That it might win. I don't know. Knight takes check here. Queen takes. Let's do it. Okay, that failed. My bad. It's a move that here jumps off the page. Is bishop to b4 counter pinning this bishop. He couldn't take my queen. I can just play queen f2. Check. The only move. King d1 forced. It's just rook checks. Am I just winning this? I don't know. Maybe not. Queen takes rook. Bishop takes, and he's got a buttload of pieces from my queen. So check. King d1. Check again. King d2 forced. Rook to f2. Check. King to d3. Queen checks here, king to d2, rook checks. Good question. I could just do that. Check. He goes here, rook checks, king. Oh, we can't play king to d3. So rook, queen checks, king to d2 only move, legal. Rook checks, knight has to come here. He can't move because my queen's on f1. That's the key. Check, king d2, rook f2 check, knight here, queen takes check. This is checkmating. Right? I'm going to checkmate him on c2. But we'll get the problems that we miss. That way I get to learn something. All right, the most obvious move, f3, threatening checkmate. He would play g3. Bishop rips g3. Destruction sacrifice, because we're going to be checkmating this guy. Can't take it because queen checks and it's checkmate. So this is devastating. So what do we do with this devastating move? He has to take it with a knight. Pawn takes. Again, pushes forward. We would just take this. He can't take it. All right, deal. G4. Okay, well, there you go. Solves that problem. Good answer. Good answer. That freak. I could see that this was just grotesquely winning. Well, what are you going to do now, Bobby Fischer? If I go queen to h6, he's simply going to play queen h5, blocking me, because if I take this, it's a checkmate on h2 or or g2. So queen h6, queen h5, queen f4, devastation. Queen takes free bishop. Well, that does stop checkmate. So that was the threat of unstoppable checkmate that you saw. It's not listed as a tactic anywhere, but I have it as in my mind, it is a separate folder of tactics. But you have to be able to analyze your threatened checkmate, and does he have a defense that stops it, number one, cheaply, and then number two, at all. Number one, he had no cheap defense. He had to get rid of his queen, so number two, he had a defense to it, but it cost him his queen. It's not really defended. It's just, I'm eating his pieces alive. Queen takes f5, the obvious move. Let's look at it. The brute force technique. Check. Queen takes free pawn with check. Got to be good. What's he threatening? Rook h1 checkmate. So if I don't check him, I'm dead. I only have two checks. Queen takes pawn, or knight checks on f8, which is dumb, or f6, which is also dumb. So let's look at this check. Where can he go? He can go to dark squares, h6 or g7 or h8. If he goes to h8 or g7, what do I have? I don't know. That's a good question. Check. Yes. Well, g7. I could take. Oh, he goes to the dark squares on here on the diagonal. I can play queen takes pawn check, and this is looking very ugly for him. h6 check again. King h6. This is knight here is no good. If I couldn't take this if I wanted to. Oh, wait a second, Bobby Fischer. Knight f8 might be useful because the rook cannot take it. Rook takes knight, pawn takes rook. And now these rooks will dominate defensively, so it's not he can't take it, but he doesn't have to take it is the problem. It's a great move. You can't take the knight, but if you don't take it, then it's not doing anything, and I no longer have this check. This has got to be the move, man. Got to be the move. Yeah, I think this is it right here. Oh, it's not? What the heck? We'll figure out what that was, too. I swear I thought that was the move. That was why I did it. Well, he's got no real threat on my f2, f7 pawn. Bishop takes pawn check. What are you going to do? I don't know. I don't like rook takes f2. He doesn't have to take it. But even if he does, rook takes, bishop takes, king to g2, I can't do anything. I could go queen to e3, I suppose, and then play queen takes g3. That's pretty tough, actually. Bishop checks, king to h1. I guess I could still play the same queen e3 idea. This bishop is in the way. Bishop checks. Bishop checks. King h1. Bishop takes g3, threatening a checkmate with rook to h2. Nasty. Yes, he can't mess with that. That was nasty. So now when he does this of not taking, I can play this move. How do you stop the checkmate, my brother? Oh, that way somehow. Let's find out. I swear that was winning. How does that work? That's discovered check. Oh, that's also checkmate. Rook h2 is check. You can't take the bishop. That's how. And now rook h2. Well, it's not checkmate. It's going to be checkmate. Well, that's not that great. He's just going to pick the bishop, stupid. I guess you play queen f2. Yeah. You checkmate him on one of the... He can guard one of these squares with the rook. He can't guard both. He moves rook h1 to stop this mate. Rook g2, queen g2 is mate. If he leaves it there, queen h2 is mate. That's also checkmate. Okay. Pretty sure that's a genius combo. Queen e3, how do you stop it? Rook takes, well, that doesn't really stop it. It's still checkmate. He can't take it because that's check, and he's just mated. But he can do the cheap shot. Queen checks, rook takes here. He's just dead lost. I'm sorry. I find this to be an inferior result on their part. My move is still winning. Queen e3 is still winning. In my world, I play in the tournament world. In the tournament world, if you win with a less than perfect move, you still won. And there was nothing, it wasn't forced, it wasn't a forced, he didn't have a move that was any good. He was going to get checkmated, it doesn't matter. So, if you want to call that a miss, good luck with that. Oh, why would we do that? Queen sacrifice. He's just going to go rook to g7, stupid. Rook to g7, stupid. He still maintains the pin. Or rook to g6, threatening to take my knight at some convenient position. This is just not good. I didn't like this at all for white. This isn't forced winning as far as I can see. Rook g6. Your mama. Okay? Oh, I see a problem with this now. Yeah, rook g7. Rook checks. Whoops. My bad. Rook g6. Rook checks. King g7. Rook checks here. Whenever I kill this rook, and I will kill it, then I'll kill this one. Okay, you got a point. I missed this. This does win because he forces him to do this. Then we just take his rook. And we're up an exchange. I didn't realize that there's a mate or long range recovery of the material. That was fantastic. That's on me. I learned something here. So the sequence is this. You take this. If rook to g7, check. And now it's checkmate. Rook goes back. That's a checkmate. Know your checkmates. So that rook taking rook here. Knight with a rook here or here is a checkmate. So my bad on that one. I should have spotted this. So rook to g6, threatening to take my knight. I check him. King to g7. I check him. He takes my knight. Rook takes rook, check. King takes rook. pawn takes rook. It's still an exchange up. Yeah, that was awesome. We learned something new here, both you and me. Fantastic problem. That one was 2655. The other one, it didn't like my answer with my queen to e3 was a 2700 problem. So this other problem, what the heck is this? Queen takes queen and oh, knight takes free bishop. Idiot. How did I miss this? That's on me, dude. I don't know how I missed that this is that there's a free bishop here. Queen takes queen. Normally I look at queen takes queen always to look for a reduction of material and see what's left. But I never looked at queen takes queen, king takes queen, seeing. I would have seen this had I looked at it. And normally this is one of the first moves I would have looked at in my style. But my chess eye was so enthralled with when knight takes c3 combos. Sometimes it's just trade queens and take a free piece. Mistakes were made. Like I say, I do this to teach you, and I get to also teach myself. Jackpot. Mistakes were made. What can I say? Great problems. You know, made a mistake. One of the things about chess, one of the reasons you don't get better is that you refuse to admit that you made mistakes in spite of obvious example in front of your face. My bad, okay? I made 2 mistakes there. They counted one that I'm still winning it. In the tournament world, that's an absolute win. My philosophy is that if you have a sequence of moves that wins in 2 moves and one that wins in 10 moves, and you chose the 10 move one because you didn't see the move in 2 version, play the win that you see is what I always tell people. It doesn't matter how long it is. If you see that it's a forced win, play the forced win that you see. Because in the tournament, it's a win. On these problems, they do have a technical rule. There's 2 technical things that go on in these problems. Well, number 1, it will tell you whose move it is, black to move or white to move. As I say, it's white to move and win or black to move and win. That's rule number 1 of these problems. The subtext. They don't mention this at all, but this is the reality. The second subtext rule is that they only give you a check mark, thumbs up, for playing the shortest possible winning variation. So this program says if there's a win in 3 moves and you play a win in 5 moves, your 5-move win in the real tournament world counts. Here, X. No good. And that's fine. We can live with that. And that's what they did to me here. My move that won on the very final problem was longer than theirs. Whatever. In the tournament world, I'm satisfied. Now, the other 2 were legitimately things that I missed. And that's perfectly fine. I learned from that. So I'm now stronger. So you got stronger and I got stronger. Now, the only problem with that is that you got stronger more than me because there's more things that you learned about your own game, hopefully, in this problem presentation than I did. But that's okay. It's not going to be the same. It's not you're going to learn 2, I'm going to learn 2, or whatever. You're going to learn X, and I'm going to learn Y. And generally speaking, you're going to learn more than I do by numbers, okay? And that's perfectly awesome. The more you can learn, if you learn 10 things, that would be just stupendous. Probably not going to be 10, but, whatever. Let's be optimistic. I'm an optimistic guy. That's my thing. I'm optimistic. I don't like to be pessimistic. You can't do this. You can't do this. Well, what can I do? Find out what you can do in chess and then do the heck out of it is my philosophy. That's kind of the way my dad taught me. That's how I got to be so good. Okay? I'm so good that this sequence of problems was only 49. Now, I'm usually getting 50s. Okay? So, can't be your best every day. You know, do the best you can. Whatever happens, happens. That's how you win tournaments, is by doing your best, being optimistic. If you're pessimistic, you're not going to win tournaments. I'm just telling you. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Tell your friends if they want to get better at chess. I teach you how to get better faster because I have ideas that put them in your brain quicker than other people have. And all my videos are different because they're based upon different sequences of problems. All random, all real. I don't script this. I don't set it up and then replay this, to make myself look good. Because if I did, I wouldn't have 3 mistakes. Just that simple, right? I wouldn't have 3 X's, let's call it that way. So it's all real, and that's why I win tournaments, baby. I have the killer stories that you get from playing tournaments as well. So whatever. Great to see you guys here. Look forward to seeing you again in another video. Play some great chess and get better. You may have to rewatch the first part of this video to really fully absorb. Get better the way that's best for you, and you will improve. I'm out of here. I'll see you guys later. Thanks again. Oh yeah, like and subscribe.